We've got Sue here on the screen team with the Poplar Bluff Public Library. We're doing movies about Frankenstein, and our final one has to do with Young Frankenstein. We're going to give you our review of that movie, and then we're going to be telling you what's going on at the library this spring. A lot of cool stuff. So a lot to do. So, Sue, let's get right to it. Young Frankenstein. It's a Mel Brooks film, and it's funny. It's a funny movie.
It is absolutely funny, but I have to correct you, Chris. It's Frankenstein.
I did get it wrong, didn't I?
Yeah. Young Frankenstein does not want to be equated with his grandfather.
He's embarrassed by him.
Yes, he is. He thinks, he was a quack and he wasn't, what he needed to be.
Mm-hmm.
But you have all kinds of really funny people in this. Mel Brooks, number one, is the director, and if it's Mel Brooks, we all know that it's going to be fun. But you have Gene Wilder, you have Madeline Kahn, you have Terry Garr, you have
Peter Boyle,
as well. Okay, I can't think of Marty Feldman. So look at all of these people that you have, that you have in there. And so, not to be outdone, Marty Feldman is not Igor; he's Igor. So we can go from there. And Madeline Kahn is she has a bit role, but what part she plays is really funny.
Yeah.
And then there's one last person whom we might not expect to do a funny role, and that's Gene Hackman.
That's right. I didn't know that for the longest time, but yeah, he makes a cameo scene in this film.
That's right, and he lights Frankenstein's thumb on fire. If you remember, the monster is afraid of fire.
Yeah.
So here he is. He's holding his thumb up and going, "Oh, my thumb is on fire."
I love when he's trying to give him soup, and he's missing the bowl and putting it right in his lap.
Yeah.
So many different funny scenes. What's some of your favorite scenes in this film?
One of my favorites is whenever they find the secret passage, and it's just typical vaudeville, and that they're going around and around with the secret passage, and Terry Garr's on one side and Gene Wilder's on the other, and they go, "Wait, stop, put the candle in, no, take the candle out."
Right.
And it's just typical vaudeville as well, is because of course Mel Brooks comes out of that era when vaudeville. Or at the end of vaudeville, and so he brings a lot of that with him. Everything from when he did Blazing Saddles to this Young Frankenstein to the history of the world and all of those.
Yeah, Marty Feldman, he does it for me in this movie. He plays up to the camera like something out of the Marx Brothers.
Yes, he does, and I don't know if you'll notice his hump moves whenever in the film.
I've got a hump. What?
So it's really a lot of fun, and it probably is one of my favorite ones, and it's only a year younger than Rocky Horror Picture Show, so those came out within a year of one another.
Yeah.
But I said a while ago that we could find the connections. Mel Brooks uses the same lab and the same elevator in doing the part where the monster is animated. So they bring from the 1931 film.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so all of these films have an interconnection, both from either from a set point of view, as well as the whole idea of using the same book as the theme. So
the movie is called Young Frankenstein. Hilarious, funny films. Definitely one if you haven't seen. It shows a lot of classic performances from a lot of great late actors like Gene Wilder, Peter Boyle, of course Madeline Kahn, like you said. Just a lot of great performances, and it's definitely one that you haven't seen yet. You should definitely check out. And Sue, we still got a lot more to talk about here. These three films that you chose for us, Young Frankenstein, Rocky Horror Picture Show, and the 1931 Frankenstein, they all have a connecting tissue, and these movies tie into each other, and so does the library in some sense, right?
Well, it's, a lot of times we don't realize how things can go back in history, and then we can look at them. And I started reading things, what Google's doing with artificial intelligence these days, and then I read a book called The Innovators, in which one of the innovators is Ada Byron Lovelace, yes, the daughter of Lord Byron, but she was also a friend of Mary Shelley's, and she knew about Frankenstein, and she asked the question, can a machine think? And then I go see Imitation Game with Alan Turing, and I started thinking all of these things are interrelated. And then you think about Frankenstein. Well, what were we doing with Frankenstein? We were trying to create something that could think and be, that was from a non-animated kind of thing. And I
Yeah.
think that's what we're doing with our computers, is that we're doing this. So you just have to forgive me, folks. My brain starts to fly out there and think about all of
Imagination,
these things that are
man.
out there.
Nothing wrong with imagination. Of course, the library kind of ties it together too, where you can go to the library, get the book from Mary Shelley, and then rent the 1931 movie, and there's so many different ways to explore at the library.
Well, and to check out the book, The Innovators, whether it was the audiobook, and it's just fascinating what these people were thinking and doing in think about it, folks, 1831, they were thinking about whether or not a machine could think.
Yeah.
And they even describe Frankenstein, the monsters in the 1931, as walking like an automatron, which is one of the first things that we talk about in terms of robotics, is the automatrons.
So a lot's going on at the library here this spring. Your next kind of big event is coming up March 3rd, correct?
That is correct. We are so fortunate to have Niles Reddick. He's written the book called Drifting Too Far from the Shore, but he's also been an award winner for other things. He has one set of short stories called Roadkill and Other Stories. Does this tell you a little bit about this guy? He has a wonderful sense of humor, and when he talks, he's animated, and he brings in this sense of humor. He told me he's bringing his wife with me, so he can't tell stories about her family. So that tells you a little bit about this guy and what he's doing. I knew Niles. I met him 16 years ago when I was working at a college, and he was teaching English then. Mm-hmm. And now the man is a vice provost for the University of Memphis in Jackson, Tennessee. So that tells you that he has a real job that pays for his writing job, his love job. And so, but we're lucky because this book has been nominated for a Pulitzer, and I think to get somebody of this ilk and this level at our library says a lot about Poplar Bluff and what can be offered in Poplar Bluff.
I agree. That's on March 3rd. The next day, another big event, March 4th.
That's correct. We have local author fair, in which many of our local authors are going to be presenting their materials and what they've written. And if you haven't signed up, please do contact the library, because you're more than welcome to present your writings and what you've done in writing. And we want to showcase our local talent here.
In the end of April, you're bringing Julius Caesar to the Poplar Bluff Public Library.
Yeah, it's Shakespeare on the Lawn, and if you haven't participated, this will be our fourth Shakespeare play that we're bringing in, and it's the St. Louis Shakespeare Festival that it's going to be featured. And what they will do is they will be performing Julius Caesar, and that is also in the background. You may even get to hear the train whistles from the railroad track.
And not a lot of details on this next one, but we want to keep it in everybody's mind. Music on the Lawn, right?
Music on the Lawn is going to be this summer. We're going to have at least 2 performances this summer. There'll be Friday night performances, one in early June and one in September. That's so we can stay out of the heat and the mosquitoes. So we hope you all can come out. We usually have a really nice time, and the performers to a one have told me every time how much they've enjoyed being out there and what a nice venue it is to have out there. So please when you hear about Music on the Lawn, please join us.
Sue, before you leave, how do people get more information on the library?
Call us 686-8639, website www.popperbluff.org, and we're on Facebook too.
They are on Facebook. Check them out. That's where I get all my information. I always see you guys are do movie nights too.
That is correct. We have we're having every Thursday we have a movie for young folks, and they're family friendly. That means G-rated. Mm-hmm. And then once a month we have the Sunday matinee. Those are never more than PG-13.
Okay.
And then we've been going to start a new one, and we're going to call it Teen Movie Night, and it's going to be on once a month on Tuesday.
There you go. That sounds like a lot of fun, man. Seeing some classic movies at the library. Check them out. Sue, thank you for being on the show.
Oh, it's wonderful.
We're going to have her on again very, very soon. I promise you on that. And we'll be back again next Saturday at 6 p.m. for another edition of The Screen Team right here on KWOC.
Thanks, Chris.